Hello, welcome to this latest video for the Ultimate Swing Trader. We've been on quite a run in the futures market, so I'm going to take you through just a real quick recap since our last update. That was back on June 25th. We really kind of ripped it right through June with a number of nice trades in most of these markets, and it really just kind of continues on. It's just been a really great stretch overall. So let's start with the Treasury notes, 10-year, 2000 tick bar using the Ultimate Swing Trader strategy. Nothing fancy. Coming in with a setup here, as you can see. I've got my entry line a little bit above that as you get familiar with the rules. Of course, we would place the entry around the 1632nd level on the Treasury notes. The great news, though, as you can see, is the trade proceeded to get to our first target right here, which is in here. And that is actually worth about $880 on that move. So right away to $880, and we get to move the stop up to our entry level. So that's right here. That's going to be this line basically where we got in. And we're, of course, going to be looking for our second line and even potentially our third line, depending upon the exit strategy that you're using with the strategy. So let's see how we end up doing throughout the day. Kind of goes back and forth there. And this is a 24-hour period. And since this is swing trading, we didn't sit here and watch this every tick and step of the way. We basically just placed our entry, and perhaps we come back and check on it sometime in the mid-morning or midday, and we can see that we can adjust our stop. But after that, there's nothing else you need to do other than just let the market do what it needs to do. And there's a good reason for that. Is, do you really want to be watching this every tick? No. I mean, this is, now 36 hours of time, and we finally get the pushback up here back to the original first target. So, you can see a long stretch of time going pretty sideways overall. So we kind of continue for really 24 hours and don't have to do anything. We're just, going to wait, see what happens. We go back down, back up. And now we start to get the move up to the second level. And you can see here we've got the second level here, and that's worth another about $880. We can move our stop up to what we call our 1x level. So put it right there. And we'll be seeing if we can get to our third target, which is obviously for the most aggressive traders. But good news is we actually hit that, and that move over the course of several days was worth anywhere from about $880 up to $2,400 on a contract. So that's the exciting news there. And the fact is that as a day trader, you would have spent obviously an awful lot of time trading those stretch of days. As a swing trader, you basically had most of your work the first day placing the trades, and then really just a check-in, perhaps a couple times per day, maybe once at night and once when you wake up in the morning, maybe once midday. I mean, it might just take you a couple of minutes, and 90% of the time there was nothing you even needed to do. So great result on the T-notes. And then we'll kind of scroll forward to catch up to current and see the most recent setup. Now this setup here on a potential short came really after the open, after the cash market opens, so this is not one that we would be on board. It actually did pretty well. It's developing anyway, getting pretty close to the target, but for now we're flat on this market. Let's take a look at the 30 notes. Also a very, very good market. We've had lots of success with this one. I'm going to scroll back again because remember the last time we did this video was the June 25th time frame. So let's see if we had any additional trades. And what you're going to see here is a perfect, what we call optional reentry. We had a successful long trade prior, and I'm going to show you what happens when we get this pullback and it touches our directional indicator, which is this line down here. But it doesn't set up a new short and long and then bounces off the directional indicator, and our little trend lines hook up. If you're familiar with our rules, boom, that's a optional reentry, and it came at a nice time because it was like towards the end of the day. So we're able to go long. I kind of pushed the little dash marks where we would go long, just using our incremental that you of course learned with the method. And this one does very nicely. It's basically off to the races. So again, the one thing I'd like to point out is, you go 24 hours here. Watching this tick for tick might be a little maddening, like it is for a lot of people who day trade, but as a swing trader, you really don't kind of worry about the gyrations. You're just waiting for the trade to work out. And we actually go 2 days and actually a third day to get to our first target. Now that first target is worth $1,300. So is it worth the time to wait? I think so. Even better, it's not a highly stressful approach to trading. Okay, and as you know, we would move the stop from down below up to this entry level and see if we can get to the second target, which I did mark with a horizontal line. And this one came much faster. As you can see, we hit the first target early in the morning on July 8th. And we hit the second target late in the day on July 8th. So that was worth another $1,300 to the upside. So ultimately about $2,600 and change. We moved the stop up to the 1x level, and you're going to see that get taken out on the move back down. But hey, no big deal, right? Because that's worth $1,300, even if you were holding the most aggressive part of the strategy, which is all three targets. Now that's obviously for a larger trader. Most people, might be trading one contract, maybe two. But if you're a one contract trader and we go for the 2x level, it was worth $2,600. So obviously more than worth it on that move. Even better news is the T-note trade that we didn't get on the short. We actually were able to pick it up here because this actually came in the overnight session. So in the morning when we come in before the open, we can actually place this trade, and we've got our target down here. Now we would adjust this down a little bit. Once you know the rules, you'll kind of know that. And then our second target in here. And you can see that we triggered short, and today we hit the first target. That's worth, again, about $1,200. And the stop that was originally up here now gets moved down to our entry level, and we've got a free trade if we're holding anything additional. Now, if I have one contract and I'm going for the bigger target, that's the second target here. I still have work to do, but at this point, I've got a free trade. Worst case and best case, I'm up $2,400 potentially, cashing in maybe as early as tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. So really nice trading, obviously, on the 30-year. Let's take a look at the soybeans, which had a really, I guess I'm going to call it a crazy trade. It was, it was one of those trades that we were lucky because we had against you. So it is something that you need to be aware of. Sometimes you do get a little luck, and sometimes it's all skill. I mean, I'll say it was all skill, but let's just be honest here. This was a lucky turn of events. We actually had this long setup here. You can see we had a target 1, a target 2, and a target 3. So we get long on this trade on June 29th, and we're doing pretty good, but we're not up to our first target yet. And the market closes right here for the day, and look what happens. We actually ended up having, this was a limit up day. There was a news event on a crop report. It's just one of those things. This can work against you. That's why you got to be, realize you have to be leveraged properly. This sometimes won't go our way. It's interesting, though, how often it does seem to kind of lean our way on these kind of events, but it's certainly not perfection. You rarely get a gap like this. It's very, very, very uncommon. However, the beauty of this was worth $5,000 per contract. When this opened here, you literally could liquidate, and it was worth $5,000, a little bit over that per contract. So pretty crazy move. Obviously very fortunate. After that, we really didn't have a setup until coming back in here. We have a little short setup in here. But this setup came after the open, so we would have tried to pick it up, as you know, the beginning of the next day or late the next day. So, we probably would have had our short entry right about there to get around the swing. So, doesn't look like a trade as of yet on the short side. Let's see where the line is here. Let me kind of move this up so we don't kind of confuse ourselves. And that would be the long entry. So, no trade so far, no trade so far. And we're really just kind of waiting at this point for either the short here to hit or for this long to hit. It's kind of been in a sideways consolidation. Not a surprise after that crazy move. But again, another really nice development for us. And the last one I'll show you really quick is trades. You might recall that the last update we were long on crude oil back on around June 25th from 60, I believe it was 69.77. We did hit our first target. It was worth about $980 before going back to break even on the 2x and 3x. We did pick up this nice short here on July 2nd. You can see it set up. Our entry was probably right about here. Turned out to be a very, very nice trade. $1,400 to the first target, which I'll just kind of move down here so you can kind of see it as we track along. Second target there. Third target's down at 63.75, but you're going to kind of see it just go down, 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 and 63.75 was right here. This is worth $1,400, $2,800, and over $4,000. So great move overall, even if we're going for just the 1x or just the 2x, even with fewer contracts or one contract, which it's tougher on this market to trade multiple contracts without a large account. So that's something to keep in mind. But again, very, very consistent across these markets. No trade for a little while. There's was the chance for an optional reentry. I won't kind of get into that one. And then we've got actually a current trade going right now. I'm going to show you real quick. We're actually long from 61.53, basically back from the little setup here. So above the 61.50 level. Haven't hit target yet. We need to get to $63. We're only at about 62-ish as of right now, real time. But we'll see how that works out over the next 24 hours. And we actually have an opportunity to adjust our target down with the new $1.06 level. So we're probably looking at more like 62.50 for our target using our rules. That's going to be right about